mornings got colder, though the calendar said spring. Your laugh arrived later and left on quieter wings. We passed the same hallway like ships in the night, still saying I'm fine, while the distance grew wide. I felt the shift in the way you folded the clothes, a little less careful, a little less close. We never named the crack that was forming below, just kept walking forward, pretending we didn't know. We lost each other softly, like rain on a window pane. No thunder, no screaming, just a slow fading stain. You became my outline I could no longer trace. I became the echo of a once familiar face. We lost each other softly, without a trace. The photos stayed up, but the stories went dark. Your favorite sweater now hangs cold in the dark. We stopped reaching across the table at night. The silence felt normal, almost polite. I kept telling myself it was only a phase, that gentle goodnights could still carry the flame. But every small step back was a step we both chose, until the love we once carried quietly froze. We lost each other softly, like petals leaving the rose. No violence, no ending, just a gradual close. The future we whispered became a forgotten line. We turned into people who once felt like mine. We lost each other softly, one breath at a time. If I could rewind to the first day the warmth slipped away, I'd pull you back gently and beg you to stay. But love doesn't shout when it starts to depart. It simply stops knocking at the door of your heart. Now I carry the weight of the things we let die in the softest of ways, under the softest of skies. We lost each other softly, but the lesson burns bright. I'll never again love in half-hearted light. I'll speak when it matters, I'll hold when it's real. No more quiet drifting, no more silent appeal. We lost each other softly, but I found how to heal. We lost each other softly, like a song that ends too soon. The softest kind of forever that ended in one night. didn't know the shape of quiet until your voice was gone. I used to fill my days with you, nowadays just carry on. Your coffee cup still by the sink, like you're running late. But I stopped waiting at the door when hope learned how to break. You never meant to leave me cold, but love taught lessons it never told. I learned loneliness from you, from the way you slowly slipped away from all the things we didn't do, and every word you didn't say. I wasn't born this good at being alone. I had to learn it from you. Yeah, I learned loneliness from you. We shared a bed, but not our fears. I felt you miles away. You smiled like nothing was wrong. I memorized that face. I tried to hold what wasn't there, like air between my hands. You left me with your absence. That's when I started to understand. Love doesn't always end with tears. Sometimes it leaves you here. I learned loneliness from you, from empty rooms and quiet nights, from loving someone halfway who never stayed to fight. I wasn't strong before you gone, but I became someone new. Yeah, I learned loneliness from you. Now I sit with silence like it knows my name. I don't blame you for the pain, but I changed. I learned loneliness from you, but I also learned to stand. I learned how to lose someone and still hold my own hand. You were my hardest lesson and my deepest truth. I didn't choose this kind of love. I learned loneliness from you. I don't miss who you became. I miss who I was with you. The house still knows the way you stood by the window, light misunderstood. I trace the space you used to fill, like time forgot to stand still. Your laughter faded into walls, still echoes when the evening falls. We weren't broken, just undone, like sentences that lost their tongue. I didn't lose you all at once. You slowly changed the distance. This is the shape of us after goodbye. Corners of love we couldn't realign. Your absence learned my outline too. Now I'm someone I became without you. We don't hurt the way we did before, but we don't fit like we used to anymore. This is the shape of us after goodbye. Not broken, just redesigned. Your name still rests in quiet days, in songs I skip, in words I say. I don't reach out, but still I feel the habit of ours. You'll still be real. We grew apart without a fight, just stopped reaching at the same time. Love didn't die, it just withdrew, left me learning how to move. I held on longer than I should, trying to keep us understood. This is the shape of us after goodbye. Softened edges, harder lines. I still remember how we were before the silence took the nerve. We don't ache the way we pulled before, but we don't belong like we used to anymore. This is the shape of us after goodbye. A love that changed but didn't lie. Some endings don't feel like the end, they just stop choosing we again. I forgive us for growing wrong, for staying quiet far too long. This is the shape of us after goodbye. A gentler truth I won't deny. You were a chapter, not my home, but you helped define my soul. I won't wish we stayed the same. Some love survives by letting change. This is the shape of us after goodbye. Still beautiful, just a different life. Didn't vanish, we evolved into who we are when love dissolves. You left without slamming doors. No final words, no reason why. Your jacket still by the bedroom floor, like you'd be back before goodbye. I memorized the way you left, by how the room forgot your sound. Even the clock held its own breath when it realized you weren't around. I told myself you just needed time, but time never promised you were mine. I kept the light you turned off, stayed awake in case you came home lost. I learned the dark by heart, so you wouldn't have to find the switch. You moved on without a thought, left me loving what you forgot. I kept the light you turned off, like love was something I could fix. Your name still echoes in my phone, unread messages, unsent truth. I made excuses on my own for all the things you didn't do. I dressed the silence up as hope, cold waiting something brave. But every night I held a glow for a shadow that never stayed. I stayed loyal to what we were. You stayed silent, and that hurt worse. I kept the light you turned off, believed in you when you walked off. I made a home inside the dark, so you wouldn't feel alone. You found peace somewhere else, while I held the night by myself. I kept the light you turned off, until even hope went cold. Maybe love shouldn't beg to stay, or bleed just to be seen. Maybe letting go is learning that choosing me isn't selfish, it's clean. I kept the light you turned off, but I won't wait here anymore. I see now what it cost to love someone who closed the door. If you ever wonder why the room no longer knows your name, I turned the light off for myself and finally walked away. The dark doesn't scare me now. I'm not waiting anymore. I stayed when leaving made more sense. Watch the clock ignore my prayers. Your silence learned my name before I learned how not to care. Every promise lost its tone, every kiss felt slightly gone. I smiled just to keep you near, while disappearing year by year. jacket still behind the door, like you might need it once more. I stopped asking where you'd been, started guessing how this ends. I learned to miss you quietly, so you wouldn't feel the change. You were already halfway gone. I just stayed to take the blame. I let go in slow motion, held on longer than I should, still hoping you'd turn around, even when I knew you wouldn't. I didn't scream, I softened till love felt like a ghost. I let go in slow motion and carried it alone. If love is meant to save us, why did it cost me? I begged for something honest. You gave me almost free. I let go in slow motion. Now I see myself again. Not a villain, not a victim, just a heart that tried till the end. I don't hate you, I outgrew the way that you imposed. I let go in slow motion, and that's how I survived you. Some endings don't explode, they gently loosen their hold, and one day you breathe without them and call it closure. I stayed when the signs were clear, read between what you wouldn't say. You were halfway out the door, I was finding reasons you might stay. Every warning felt like doubt, every doubt I turned to hope. I held the pieces of your heart like they were mine to hold. You were slowly letting go. I was loving you more. I loved you past the point of return, past the lesson I should have learned. I crossed every line I swore I wouldn't, just to keep us from the burn. You stepped back without a word. I stayed until it hurt. I loved you past the point of return and lost myself first. I memorized your fading touch like it might come back again. You called it space, I called it trust, but we were standing now the end. Your silence felt rehearsed, mine was breaking underneath. You stopped choosing what we were, I stopped choosing me. I thought love meant staying strong, even when it stayed too long. I loved you past the point of return, past the truth I couldn't face. I kept rebuilding what was gone while you were leaving trace by trace. You never asked me to remain, I just refused to turn. I loved you past the point of return, and that's what made it burn. Maybe love is brave, but not when it erases you. Maybe holding on isn't always proof. I loved you past the point of return, but I won't love that way again. Not where I disappear just to make somebody stay. You were a chapter, not my end, a fire I survived. I loved you past the point of return. Now I'm finally on my side. Some loves don't come back, they teach you where to start. The room still held your laughter, like a picture on the wall. But lately every promise felt smaller than before. You stopped asking how I was, stopped reaching for my hand, and I kept filling silence with reasons I'd pretend. I thought love meant patience through every changing tide, so I stayed a little longer, even when you stepped aside. I stayed after you stopped trying, after hope began to fade, after every quiet moment showed the distance that you made. I kept holding up the fire while you watched it slowly die. Stayed after you stopped trying, long before I said goodbye. I memorized your absence like a shadow in the room. trying, but I won't stay anymore. I deserve a love that reaches, not a half-closed door. Now I'm walking through the silence with a stronger kind of grace. I stayed after you stopped trying, but I finally left that place. Sometimes leaving is the bravest thing you do. When you realize love stopped fighting for you. I watched your eyes drift to someone new, while I held the pieces that belonged to you. Every promise that we once believed faded away, leaving me deceived. I tried to keep a fire that you let die, whispered my love into the silent sky. For shadows of what used to be, holding on to a love you set free. I carried our dreams through endless nights, even when they faded out of sight. I held on to what you let go. We sat on opposite ends of the same worn couch, your fingers tracing circles where mine used to touch. The TV flickered blue, but neither of us watched, just counting the seconds before one of us would flinch. I swallowed the words like broken glass at night. You looked away, pretending everything was fine. We built this perfect silence, wall by wall. Now I'm screaming inside, where you'll never hear the fall. What we never had the courage to say still lives between us every single day. I need you to stay. I'm scared that you'll go. I love you more than you'll ever know. We let the truth die in the spaces we made. What we never had the courage to say. Your suitcase weighted open like an accusation. I folded your favorite shirt with hesitation. We spoke in groceries, weather, polite good nights, while the real conversation burned holes in the lights. I almost reached for your hand at the door, almost begged you not to become a memory anymore. But pride is a crueler lover than loneliness ever was. So I smiled like it didn't matter, because what we never had the courage to say haunts every sunrise, every empty space. Don't walk away, I'm breaking into. I would have fought forever just to stay with you. We traded forever for a dignified charade. What we never had the courage to say. If time gave me 30 seconds to run back to that night, I'd crash through the door, no pride left to fight. I'd scream every line I rehearsed in my head, while you stood there stunned, finally knowing instead. But clocks don't bargain and hearts don't rewind. So I'm left with the echo of words left behind. What we never had the courage to say still echoes louder the longer you're away. what was real and the fear we obeyed. What we never had the courage to say. And if you ever wonder why I still look away, it's because those unsaid words are the only place you stayed. We lay in the dark and I bit my tongue again. Every fear I swallowed felt like saving us from pain. Your breathing next to mine was the only sound I heard. I told myself that quiet love would never need a word. I built a wall of stillness, thick and soft and kind. Thought if nothing ever broke, nothing ever died. I wore that heavy comfort like a blanket made of stone, never seeing how the silence carved us both alone. I thought silence meant safe, like a harbor in the storm, but it was just a slow blade cutting every thread we'd worn. All the ammo case I hid behind my smile became the very reasons we stopped burning for a while. I thought silence meant safe, now the quiet is a grave. You'd ask if I was happy, I'd answer with a nod, while inside me every unsaid storm began to flood. We danced around the edges of the things we couldn't face, pretending calm was courage in its most elegant grace. I watched the distance widen in the pauses we allowed. Every night I chose restraint instead of reaching out. I believed the less I spoke, the less that I could lose, until the love we guarded turned into something we outgrew. I thought silence meant safe, like a promise sealed in glass, but it cracked beneath the weight of everything we never asked. was the thief in disguise, stealing every future from behind my quiet eyes. I'm learning now that courage is the only thing that saves the kind of love that doesn't die inside a silent grave. No more hiding, no more pretending I'm alright. I thought silence meant safe, but it cost me my life. I thought silence meant safe. Now the silence is all I have, and it sounds just like but that. It was past midnight, phone face down. Your name stayed quiet, no familiar sound. I typed your words, erased them twice, like love was thinking, taking time. The room was full of borrowed air. Your side of the bed still warm somehow. That was the night I realized love was gone, but I was still around. I kept reaching for something true, but every silence sounded like you. It was the night love stopped answering our goodbye. No warning sign, I kept calling out your heart, but it was already offline. I stayed awake, believing you, while love just let me through. Yeah, it was the night love stopped answering, and I stayed with the truth. Your jacket hanging by the door, like you'd be back, like before. I replayed moments in my head, looking for the words you never said. You said nothing was wrong at all, but your eyes had learned to leave. I was loving at full volume. You were already on mute with me. You didn't mean to disappear. messages that never come. I still remember the ringing, but I don't wait anymore. I memorized the sound of maybe, held on to words he never gave me. I stayed polite with all your doubt, called it patience, not burning out. I learned your silence by heart, treated distance like a start. I kept the door unlocked for hope, while you kept finding reasons not to cope. I kept believing time was kind, but it was only passing by. I waited longer than life should, stayed when leaving would have been good. I called it faith, I called it trust, but I was breaking quietly inside us. You didn't ask me to remain, I just mistook delay for pain. I waited longer than I should, and paid the price for being good. I smiled through every half reply, made excuses so you wouldn't try. I lowered needs, I raised my grace, shrank my voice to keep your place. Love became a careful thing, afraid of asking for anything. I was there in every way, but you were only almost staying. I thought endurance meant I cared, but love shouldn't need to be spared. I waited longer than life should, held on longer than anyone would. I turned my ache into belief, called uncertainty relief. You never told me not to stay, you just let tomorrow drift away. I waited longer than life should, and learned too late what love is not. There's a line between hope and delay, between choosing someone and being played. I crossed it thinking I was strong, but strength knows when it's been too long. I waited longer than life should, but I'm done waiting this Some lessons take their time, but freedom doesn't ask for mine. You stopped asking how my day had been, just nodded like you already knew. Our words got smaller, thinner, like love was scared of waking you. I learned the sound of empty space between your sighs and tired eyes. We were still sharing the same bed, but dreaming separate lives. You said nothing was wrong, but silence stayed too long. Became quiet, it started breaking me. I laughed louder to fill the room, hoped you'd notice something changed. Kept translating all your moves into reasons you might stay. Your phone lit up, your eyes looked down like I was interrupting peace. I was standing right beside you, but somehow begging to be seen. I miss the way you used to care before love turned into it taught me how to grieve. Maybe love shouldn't whisper just to survive, or fade so gently we call it time. If silence is all that love can be, then I'd rather hear myself breathe. one's loud, ours disappeared. Was full of echoes from words we didn't say. I was counting every heartbeat. You were already away. Your eyes stopped listening. Your hands let go of mine. I felt the ending coming, but pretended we had time. You left before the song ended, before the last refrain. I was still the song ended. Your laugh became a memory, too soft to call back home. I replayed every moment, like it might change the tone. I loved you in the quiet parts, between the lines you missed. You heard an exit sign, I heard one final kiss. You left before the song ended, before it could resolve. I was still holding the harmony. You were already gone. You didn't break the silence. You let it do the damage. I kept singing for us. You left before the song ended. Maybe love isn't forever. Maybe it's just a verse. You stopped believing in us. I believed it worse. You left before the song ended, but I sang it to the end. I stayed with every lyric, even when you didn't understand. Now the music feels different, but my heart's still open. I didn't lose my voice. We just left before the song ended. across the kitchen light like strangers sharing space. You stirred your coffee slowly, wouldn't look me in the face. I felt the distance settle in between what was and what became. We were still saying goodnight, but it didn't sound the same. I held the word forever like it still meant something true. You were already folding out of everything we knew. That was the last time I called it us, before the silence won, before your hand stopped reaching, before the damage done. I said we'll be fine tomorrow. You didn't disagree. That was the last time I called it us, and you stopped choosing me. Your jacket stayed by the hallway door like maybe you'd return. I memorized your quiet steps and every look you wouldn't turn. We weren't fighting anymore, we just stopped trying to win. Love didn't leave in anger, it just thinned and thinned. I kept speaking in plural while you were thinking alone. I was building a future, you were letting it go. That was the last time I called it us, before the air went cold, before I saw the truth in the things you never told. You didn't slam the door, you didn't raise your voice. That was the last time I called it us, before you made your choice. Some endings don't explode, they gently rearrange. You wake up one day and we just feel strange. That was the last time I called it us, but not the last time I cared. I stayed until the feeling was too quiet to repair. Now I speak in I and me, and it finally feels honest. That was the last time I called it us, and the first time I chose myself. Some words carry history, some words let you heal. And the day I stopped saying we was the day it became real. I still remember the way you laughed under streetlights, our shadows cast, moments that felt like forever. Now they're gone, like they never mattered. I kept chasing what could never stay, held on to whispers that faded away. We were almost something real, a fire that burned too fast to face in every crowded street, a ghost of us in every heartbeat. I tried to fix what wasn't mine, but some love fades with time. I held on to dreams that slip like sand, reaching for touch I can't command. We were almost something real, a fire that burned too fast to feel. Every word, every stolen glance, a beautiful but fleeting chance. Maybe in another life, another day, we'd have found a way to stay. But here and now, I let you go, carry almost in my soul. We were almost something real, a fire that burned too fast to feel. Every word, every stolen glance, a beautiful but fleeting chance. We were almost something real. And I'll keep the memory and heal. And I'll keep the memory and heal. We were almost something real. I used to feel your heartbeat next to mine. Now silence fills the space we left behind. Whispers of laughter echo in the room, but shadows grow as love meets its gloom. I reached for you, but you slipped away. A gentle warmth that couldn't stay. The kind of love that slowly fades, leaves quiet nights and empty days. Every smile, every touch we knew fades like morning mist in the blue. I see your face in the crowd sometimes, a fleeting glance, a hint of old rhymes. I try to hold on, but the colors dim, our melody lost in a fading hymn. I whispered prayers that love could remain, but echoes return only your name. messy days. Your smile every touch we do fades like a morning mist in the blue. The kind of love that slowly fades. I'll hold the memory and face new ways. I'll hold the memory and face new ways. The kind of love that slowly fades. You text me good morning, then disappear by noon. Left me reading old messages under the same moon. Your arms around me felt like a temporary release, warm until the moment you decided to release. I kept collecting pieces you never meant to give. Told myself half a heart was still a way to live, but every almost touch left bruises I couldn't name. You gave me just enough to keep me in the game. You love me in half measures, never all the way. A whisper of forever that faded by the day. You held me like a secret you weren't ready to claim. Left me starving for the fire you only gave a flame. Half measures, half measures, and I still stayed. You'd say I miss you in the middle of the night, then wake up acting like it never saw the light. I learned the shape of your maybe, wore it like a crown while you kept one foot steady on the way out of town. I painted full futures on your unfinished lines, drank your someday promises like expensive wine. But the glass was always half empty when you turned around, and I drowned in the silence of the love you never found. You loved me in half measures, never deep enough. Offered me a lifeline, then called it just a bluff. You kissed me like a habit you could easily break, left echoes of devotion that were always half awake. Half measures, half measures, and I still ached. I wonder if you ever loved someone completely, or if partial is the only version you know how to be. I gave you every fraction, every trembling part. You took the light and left me holding just the dark. I deserve the whole sky, not had a borrowed star. You loved me in half measures, but I loved you complete. Poured my entire ocean at your hesitant feet. Now I'm learning how to walk away from what was never mine, healing from a love that only showed up half the time. No more half measures, no more half measures. I'm finally mine. You loved me in half measures, but I won't love that way again. Your suitcase stayed by the doorway, but your eyes were already gone. You smiled like you were listening, while your heart had moved on. I kept reading between your pauses, trying to fix what I felt. You were halfway out the moment I still called us sweet to myself. I confused your silence for patience and distance for space to heal. I didn't know you had already left. I was loving what wasn't real. I stayed after you checked out, kept the lights on, kept the doubt. Told myself you'd turn around while you planned to be fine. I stayed after you checked out, held the room, held the sound. You left without saying goodbye. I stayed to watch us die. Your words felt rented, never owned, like promises with an end date. I waited for you to feel again while you learn how to escape. I memorized your leaving signs, the way your touch grew thin. Now I'm walking back to me. Your suitcase stayed by the doorway, but your eyes were already gone. You smiled like you were listening, while your heart had moved on. I kept reading between your pauses, trying to fix what I felt. You were halfway out the moment I still called us we to myself. I confuse your silence for patience and distance for space to heal. I didn't know you had already left. I was loving what wasn't real. I stayed after you, checked out, kept the lights on, kept the doubt, told myself you'd turn around while you were nowhere to be found. I stayed after you, checked out, held the room, held the sound. You left without saying goodbye. I stayed to watch us die. Your words felt rented, never owned, like promises with an end date. I waited for you to feel again, while you learned how to escape. I memorized your leaving signs, the way your touch grew thin. You didn't break my heart all at once. You slowly checked out within. I stopped asking you to choose me, stop begging love to try. I saw the truth in your absence before you said goodbye. I stayed after you, checked out, played the part, wore the doubt, loved you louder, loved you proud, while you faded into the cry. I stayed after you, checked out, believed in us when you were out. You left without closing the door. I stayed for something no more. 怕。I stayed once, now I'm out. I stayed when I shouldn't have. Now I'm walking back to me. You walked away without a word, left the silence louder than the hurt. I replay the moments we almost knew, all the little things I never said to you. The door closed softly behind your face, and suddenly the world felt out of place. I reached for reasons, but they dissolve into shadows only I resolve. And every night I ask the air why you left me standing there. The goodbye you never explained echoes louder than the rain. Every memory I tried to save crashes into the empty space. You vanished without a sign, left me with questions lost in time. The goodbye you never explained still lingers in my veins. I hear you laugh in strangers' rooms, see your eyes in the pale of the moon. Every corner whispers your name, but nothing feels like it did the same. I held on to echoes that weren't mine, chasing pieces across the line. Love turned into a silent plea, and yet I find you haunting me. I'm learning how to let it go, even if I'll never know. The goodbye you never explained echoes louder than the rain. Every memory I tried to save crashes into the empty space. You vanished without a sign, left me with questions lost in time. The goodbye you never explained still lingers in my veins. Maybe some doors aren't meant to reopen, maybe some hearts aren't meant to stay, but I keep walking through the ashes of the words you didn't say. The goodbye you never explained will never break the love that remains. I will carry the lessons, the ache, and learn to breathe despite the shake. Though you vanished without a sign, I'll find my peace in my own time. The goodbye you never explained will never touch what I became. I whisper to the empty air, thank you for the love we shared. Even if you never explained. We used to talk until the light turned mornings into something bright. Now even silence feels too loud, like something broke but never fell down. No slammed doors, no last goodbye, just fewer reasons asking why. Your shadow left before you did, and I pretended not to notice it. Love didn't end, it just grew thin, like words we stopped believing in. We faded without a sound, no echoes when we went down. No fire, no final round, just hearts learning how to back down. We didn't crash, we didn't fight, we slowly lost the need to try. We faded without a sound. Still hurts when I think about I still remember how we left before forever turned to past. We stayed but weren't really there, share the same room, different air. I held on longer than I should. You left in ways I misunderstood. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't wrong, just love that didn't last that long. We stopped asking if we're okay, like answers would have made us stay. We faded without a sound, no echoes when we went down. No fire, no final round, just hearts learning how to back down. We didn't crash, we didn't fight, we slowly lost the need to try. We faded without a sound. Still hurts when I think about some endings don't break you in two, they quietly forget you. No scars to prove the pain was real, but silence cuts the deepest still. We faded without a sound, like ghosts we didn't chase around. No blame, no truth we found, just love we slowly let slip out. I don't hate you, I don't cry, I just miss the reason why. We faded without a sound, and that's the part I can't work out. Nothing shattered, nothing drowned, we just faded. I laughed at jokes you didn't hear, spoke your name like you were near. I planned tomorrow like you'd stay, while you were already on your way. You smiled but didn't really see, your eyes were packing quietly. I held the truth with open hands, not knowing it would slip like sand. I kept believing what we were, while you were learning how to blur. You were gone before I knew, before my heart could catch the truth. I was still choosing us while you were choosing something new. You left without a single sound. I stayed where love was breaking down. You were gone before I knew, and I loved you all the way through. Your coffee cold beside the sink, like all the things I didn't think. You said I'm tired, not goodbye. I trusted words that learned to lie. The space between us grew so wide. I called it time, you called it life. I read your silence far too late, when love had already changed its face. You didn't mean to let me fall, you just weren't there at all. You were gone before I knew, before the ending even moved. I kept holding on to us like that's what love is supposed to do. You walked away in quiet grace. I stayed and learned to feel the ache. You were gone before I knew, and I was faithful to the truth. Now I know the signs I missed, the pause, the drift, the emptiness. Some goodbyes don't say a word, they just stop choosing you. You were gone before I knew, but now I finally see it clear. Love shouldn't feel like guessing or disappearing year by year. I won't beg what's already through, I won't chase what never stayed true. You were gone before I knew, now I know how to choose me too. You left before I felt the fall, but I'm standing after all. We spoke in plans that felt like truth, drew our future before we knew how fragile promises can be when timing breaks what love can't keep. I learned your habits, not your fears. Learned your laughter, not your years. We lived inside the wrong so close to solid, never found. I mistook comfort for a sign that love would wait if we had time. We almost met forever, but almost doesn't stay. We almost held tomorrow, then watched it slip away. You said not now, I heard someday, and built my heart on what you couldn't say. We almost meant forever, but almost broke us anyway. We loved in pauses, not in vows, and maybe then not here and now. I gave you space, you gave me doubt. We circled love without something out. I stayed polite with all your doubt, called it patience, not running out. But love should feel like solid ground, not something fading without a sound. I waited for your certainty while you waited less for me. We almost met forever, but never chose the fight. We almost crossed the distance, but left it overnight. You kept the door half open wide. I stood there hoping you'd decide. We almost meant forever, but fear arrived before we tried. There's a quiet kind of goodbye when no one leaves but no one tries. No broken words, no final scene, just love that wasn't brave enough to be. We almost meant forever, and that's what hurts the most. Not what we lost, but what we were, so close to holding close. I won't rewrite what wasn't true, or beg a dream to follow through. We almost meant forever, but now I mean letting go of you. Some loves don't end in flame or fire, they fade where courage should have been higher. We used to breathe the same small air. Now even silence feels prepared. Your name still waits inside my phone, but I've learned how to sleep alone. Nothing broke, nothing burned, Just too many things unlearned. We didn't crash, we slowly slid into a life we never lived. There's a space between what we were and what we couldn't become. Not a goodbye, not a forever, just a love that went numb. I still feel you inserted hours, like a song without drums. There's a space between what we were, and I'm standing in it alone. Your laughter echoes in my head, like things we almost said. We talked about the future once, but stopped before it made sense. We stayed polite, we stayed kind, left the hardest truth behind. I held the door, you held your pride, and that's the night we quietly died. There's a space between what we were and what we couldn't become. Not a promise, not a letter, just a feeling undone. I still see you in reflections, in the places we run. There's a space between what we were, and I'm learning to move on. If love is more than holding tight, why did we let it lose its voice? I'd rather hear you say goodbye than watch us fade by choice. There's a space between what we were, where my heart learned to bend. Not a failure, not a mistake, just a story that ends. I won't beg it to return now. I won't chase what's gone numb. There's a space between what we were, and I'm finally letting go of us. Some loves don't leave with a sound, they just turn into ground. You walk on without knowing what you found. door didn't slam, it just stayed still, like it wasn't sure who left. Your name lives in the corners. I try my best to forget. I don't look for you in faces or ask the night your name, but when the room goes quiet, my chest remembers the pain. My heart still knows where you went, even when I don't ask. It feels the weight of your leaving, like a shadow I don't chase back. I moved on with my breathing, learned to smile again, but my heart still knows where you went. I packed away the memories, like letters never sent. I told myself I was stronger than every what if you meant. I don't wait by old windows or wish upon your return, but love doesn't disappear, it just changes what it burns. My heart still knows where you went, even when I feel whole. I don't live in the past anymore, but it still visits my soul. I don't follow the feeling, I let it come and then bend, but my heart still knows where you went. Maybe knowing isn't longing, maybe it's just proof that loving you once was honest and true. My heart still knows where you went, but it knows where I am too. I didn't lose myself loving you, I just learned what love can do. I don't need answers or endings, I don't need to pretend. My heart still knows where you went, and it's okay in the end. Some loves don't come back, they just stay understood, and my heart remembers you in the quiet way it should. You used to speak in future tense like nothing could divide. Your words were warm as summer air, I wore them like my pride. But seasons change without a storm, no warning in your tone. The plans we drew in steady lines were fading on their own. I kept replaying everything, trying to find the bend. The moment faith turned fragile and truth began to thin. Tell me where your promises went silent, where the vows lost all their sound. They didn't break in anger, forgot my name. I still remember how you said we'll never let this go, but never feels so different when it's whispered soft and low. I held on to the echoes of what we used to be. You were busy building distance, I was building memories. I thought love would stay louder than doubt inside your chest, but silence grows much stronger when it's left unaddressed. Tell me where your promises went silent, where the fire lost its spark. You didn't have to leave me, you just dimmed the dark. I trusted what you told me more than what I felt. Tell me where your promises went silent, when they stopped meaning themselves. Maybe words are easy when love is new and bright. Maybe truth gets quieter when it's harder to fight. I know where your promises went silent. They faded with your will. They didn't die in chaos. They just learned to stand still. I won't carry empty echoes or beg them to remain. I know where your promises went silent, and I won't go there again. Some vows don't shatter, they disappear, and you only notice when they're no longer here. The sunlight fell across your face, but your eyes were somewhere else, a distant place. I whispered secrets you no longer heard. Our quiet room swallowed every word. I tried to hold on, but you slipped like rain, a gentle touch I couldn't retain. The day I felt you drift away, everything I knew just went astray. Every heartbeat, every sigh left me wondering why we said goodbye. still see your shadow in the hall. Empty echoes bouncing off the